Hello folks! Well, as you remember from my last video, we did a demonstration for the local Civil Air Patrol, and Adam and I even gave some flight lessons. We flew a variety of aircraft for them to introduce them to model aviation. I flew my old school Nexus Nitro Heli, and we all know what happened to that. But I promised to show you the Hyperfly no-tail rotor helicopter I invented for Kyosho in Japan, the same maker as the Nexus and the Concept 30s. I actually invented the Hyperfly because back when helis were new, there were no gyros, and there were very few folks who would venture into primitive RC helicopters due to the expense of parts and hours rebuilding just for the tiniest mistakes. You know, most helicopter pilots were self-taught because there was no one around to ask for help. I learned from John Simone and Mike Moss, so I had an advantage, but still there were no gyros or crutches. You had to learn it all. Once I found out how easy they all flew in forward flight, just like an airplane, I got the idea. Fighting the tail rotor was a big deal back then and wagging in your face. You look at it, to make it move right, you had to move the rudder stick left, just like on an airplane. The rudder stick moves the nose in the same direction, so you had to force yourself to watch the nose of the heli and not the tail. Well, that's the same as real airplanes' rudders work, but for some reason the model airplane pilots just couldn't relate to it, at least in my club anyway. So I decided to get rid of the tail rotor altogether and made the prototype, which went to Kyosho in Japan via Chun Park, president of high-tech RCD radios, and still president today. Well, they loved it and began manufacturing it for over 10 years until technology took over. And of course, many RC pilots now were introduced to helis, and once getting this figured out, they easily advanced to 4-channel helicopters. Well, the Hyperfly works on the simple weather vane theory and the side lift frisbee theory, and although the original 2-channel versions had no speed controller, if you added one like I did here, you can use the anti-torque and torque by playing with the throttle and find it was really quite maneuverable. Well, they came in kits as did the Nexus and Concepts. Kyosho's theory is you learn to build it and you're going to know how and why it flies. And you're also going to have better luck because you're going to know how to fix them now too. I've actually added a tail plate to a lot of my other helicopters that I can hand launch, and they all fly really great. No tail rotor, no fuss. I don't need no stinking tail rotor.
Hyperfly likes wind.
So originally we would turn this one on and the blades would take off running. But I've got an electronic speed controller in here. So let's go ahead and give this a shot. Try and get a better landing.
I don't need no stinking tail rotor. Well, this is another helicopter that I really like. This is the Esky 900. This is also about 20 years old now. This is a little bit more modern, but this is also electric, so we're going to go ahead and fly that today. So here we go. Coming up next is my 3D Align T-Rex 500, my Hobby King Skipper all-terrain plane, and more. So please subscribe so not to miss them. Thanks. God bless.